Introducing our first player in the blue from South Korea, our Protoss, he is Stats! And his opponent, one win away from being the WCS Global Champion from Finland, our Zerg. Make some noise for Serral!
Serral getting that early hatchery down, knowing that Stats was so likely to send the probe to try to block it, and Stats unable to do so, so just going to go into this main base and maybe lightly harass those mineral patches.
So, we have that. We have another game here where I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm really wondering about some kind of all-in here. It just seems like if you're the Zerg and you're up this much and you just need one more game, you could absolutely take a risk, and if it doesn't work, you still have wiggle room to try other stuff.
Yeah, it is true, but momentum is a real thing in StarCraft. What if Stats blocks your all-in here? What if suddenly he regains the confidence that you stole from him in those first 3 games? Things could get out of control.
We see the wall-in beginning to get set up here. Nothing out of the ordinary so far. We'll have a much better idea of what the Protoss is going to do when the Cybernetics core finishes. That's where you start to have a branch in what kind of build order you can go for.
Well, every game so far it has been Stargate. Are we going to see that again? It seems like his most successful games have been these 2 Stargate Phoenix games. He's done fantastically with that, but like you've been saying, you know, maybe Serral will all in. Maybe he'll look at this and say, oh, Stats thinks he can beat me with that multiple times. Let's try something crazy against it.
It's interesting because the game that we just saw Stats win, I mean, he was not wavering. He basically said, no, I got it. I figured out what Serral's doing. I'm going to do the same thing I was trying before, and I'm going to make it work. And it did work. So there's also the chance that Stats simply says, I have one blueprint. I have one way of doing this, and I'm going to do it no matter what. And that's not the case now, because this build is now deviating. This is what we were waiting for, to see what kind of tech was going to come down here.
Well, that is definitely a big deal. We are getting out of Stargate territory and into the Twilight. So this is generally going to be a very aggressive build from a Protoss player. That Twilight, you're going to get either, you know, it could be a more macro-oriented, quick Archon drop, but it could also be something very aggressive, like an Adept Glaives all-in.
Oh, sure, certainly. I mean, when you see something like this coming, what it says is that he wants to punish a player who's trying to play an economy game. You want to come in and blindside them and suddenly have an attack going on, and they're basically too busy making tech buildings, making workers, and things slip out of control very quickly. They're going to have a lot of workers go down, and usually you can set up a killing blow from there.
Yeah, now a Robo is being made. We'll see if he adds any sort of Templar building. The Dark Shrine coming up. A wise man once said, when behind Dark Shrine, but this isn't just for Dark Templars, it's for Archons and dropping as well.
So we saw the Archon drop used early on, but let's touch upon this one more time. When you have Archons with a Warp Prism, because they're all shields and because you can be so abusive with picking up Archons in a Warp Prism, as long as you only lose the Warp Prism and the 2 Archons, you pretty much always do some amount of damage, and you don't really receive any. The shields eventually regen, and you're in good shape.
Well, the Ling's poking in towards the front there. This Archon drop going to be ready relatively soon. The Dark Shrine takes a long time to finish, but Stats has this timed out well. I'm excited to see what type of damage he can get done with this. Sometimes you can even catch them off guard with those Dark Templar.
Yeah, that's true. You can always try to come in there with the Dark Templar and maybe gun down a hatchery and then pick up and make the Archons later on. There's a lot of ways to play this, and there's a whole series of different angles. Oh, hold on a sec. That Ling just spots that Warp Prism. So
yeah.
Already, I think Serral's going to be ready, or at least aware that something's coming his way. Well,
let's see where he has detection right now. He's making a Spore, but that does not always stop Dark Templar. Let's see, he's going to warp in those first initial 4.
Oh, he doesn't see it. You're totally right, though, Artosis. Sometimes you'll see them just click on the Spore and kill it, and then the Dark Templars are back to being invisible, and that's what we're going to see right here as he is hitting that Spore right now.
In fact, units come up to fight them, and the Dark Templar turn around bravely and assault the Queens and Lings, chasing them back. It looks like he will not get that hatchery kill, but will start his harassment.
Yeah, he saw that Overseer was being made over there and decided instead he's going to try to do as much damage as he can before the Overseer gets over here. And as that Overseer is there, he's going to pick up relocate, and then begin the Archon harass.
That was really nicely done. Great micro overall. Look at how much damage he's already done with these 4 Dark Templars. And now that they're turning into Archons, the harassment is not going to stop.
So from here, Serral needs to continue to deflect and defend as he tries to grow and develop. Stats is getting his 3rd base. There's not really any easy way for Serral to try to attack that with these Archons coming in here like this.
And look at that. Those Archons picking off a few roaches here and there. Going to the main base now, chasing this Queen back. Stats on a rampage right now with this War Prism.
Okay, so far so good. Doing some good damage here. That Archon getting very low. Almost loses it. He does pick that up. He may try to relocate over to where the 3rd base is for Serral.
Yeah, he's flying around. He's got to let the shields come back a little bit as well. Like you said, you know, the Archons can take a beating, but they will regenerate quickly. Drops off at this 3rd base here, and it looks like he's not ready, but a great transfusion to save that Queen.
Yeah, one problem right now for Stats is that one of these Archons lost all the shields, and the other has a decent amount, so he's got to be careful. If he loses that, it's really bad. We see Serral already completely and totally prepared. Stats is trying to dodge the volleys from the roaches by picking them up as the animation is happening, but this is pretty tricky. I mean, he hasn't really done that much. Stats hasn't.
No, you know, he's gotten some damage here and there, but certainly Serral is not crippled by any means. He's still producing well. He's getting up into his Swarmhost tech, but Stats continues to keep that pressure on. Serral looking to finish off this series as he's played it out so far with those Swarmhosts.
That's right. He does not want to deviate. He says if it's not, if it's not broken, you don't need to fix it. So he'll come in here and try that once more. Again, though, as Stats seem to have adapted very well in Game 4. Like, he was not phased at all and basically swatted down everything that Serral threw at him and then closed it out with a push.
Well, here's the question, though. Does he know about these Swarmhosts that are in the way? I would say no, he doesn't. All of his vision really has been through this drop. He hasn't seen that Infestation Pit. It was very well placed by Serral. So if he doesn't know about that, will he move out? Well, he answers me right there with a move out.
So he's coming out. Now, it's much better to have Swarmhosts when you're trying to attack their opponent's base and harass them. They're not exactly ideal for defense because you can always run away and then just hit from a different angle.
Yeah, this is a very strong attack coming out as well. Serral not with a very big army at the moment. If he gets a very good engagement with these Locusts, maybe he can flank or come in from behind, pick off an Archon or something like that. It'll definitely help out, but this is a scary army from Stats.
Okay, he's opened up that ramp area. You can see Serral is set up. He's kind of waiting to see, okay, is Stats actually going to move in or what? He sent a Hallucinated Phoenix in there to basically scout out and get an idea of what's going on, and Stats decides to rotate down here towards the bottom at 6 o'clock.
Little Ling counterattack going across the map. There is a cannon here, so shouldn't be too much of a problem. Stats seeing it instantly, does do a small warp in, and here come the Locusts.
Okay, some force fields come down to try to sandbag any progress made by that ground army, as he really doesn't want to have to engage these Locusts unless he has to, and the Locusts now coming down here to connect. Great War Prism micro here by Stats.
Yeah, very well done. Nice juggling. Turns around and fights. Serral running for his life right now. Gets up to this choke, and Stats turns around as well.
Every time those Locusts come out, it's a little while before the Swarmhost is ready with more. So what Stats is trying to do is get the best engagement, and then as Serral is trying to retreat and make more units, he wants to try to come in there and do some damage of his own.
Right now, Serral is doubling down on his tech. More Swarmhosts, more Roaches on the way. Stats still microing around, seeing if he can pick off anything, but it looks like he's going to turn around for now while he waits for Psystorm.
And here comes the 4th base here for Stats. Now, it seems like Stats hasn't really taken any kind of a beating, right? He's getting his Psystorm up here. We're waiting to see if these Locusts can come out, but oh, this is actually a great play. If he can get some more of these Locusts, or these Swarmhosts rather, this would be huge.
And look at that, you force them to launch and you just pick up your Archons, you run away with the rest of your army. Well done, but Serral, no slouch himself, doesn't launch all of his Locusts, so he still has some offensive potential with this army.
Yeah, the mini games going on between these two players is so cool to see. And look, the Locusts really are not able to do anything. The half-life not long enough to keep them in the game. But the next wave is going to come in here, and it seems like Serral actually is going to try to come in here and maybe chip away at this 3rd base.
All right, Psystorm just finished up right now. Let's see if he does throw any of those very crucial storms out. Some nice force fields, picking off a few units, but good Good Biles connect right there from Serral.
Yeah, very intelligently, Serral backed off and used those force fields in some ways against the Protoss. Some of the army getting stuck over there, but Stats is going to rotate around. He's going to try to get some more of these swarm hosts here. Great storm.
Yeah, good force field there as well. The Locusts get launched out. Some storms going down on the Roach Ravager. Serral microing back. He's trying to not get hit by too many immortal shots here while whittling down the Zealot count of Stats.
Oh, there's really not anywhere to escape to up here. He's scrambling, but as Stats continues to pursue this is going to be a lot of Ravagers and Roaches that could be picked up. Meanwhile, an attack down here at the bottom. Stats trying to hit this fresh base of Serral's.
Oh, but look at that micro from Serral. He's trying to bait those Zealots away into the Roaches. Stats, though, wisely turns around, doesn't want to waste this counter-harassment force.
As the game goes on, Stats seems to be where he wanted to. He's gotten everything set up. He has all that tech. He's got Psystorm. He's making his fourth base, and now he's pushing. Now in Game 4, we saw this was the moment that Serral fell.
Yeah, now can Stats do it again? Can he make this a pattern of being able to knock out this type of play with the Hive finishing up? We're going to have more options coming up for Serral shortly. Oh, some very good force fields. Serral with a bit of a mistake there, launches some Biles, but loses a few Ravagers.
Looks like we've got a counterattack here with these Roaches, interested in trying to deny this fourth base. Meanwhile, Stats, again, spilling in with these Zealots. Serral has to defend this location as well.
A lot of Psystorms coming down. Those Locusts doing near no damage to the army of Stats. It looks like Stats finally getting something done, and I think he's going to kill the fourth base as well.
Stats with a beautiful formation is coming in here to try to get the killing move off. That base at the bottom has fallen. Psystorm's blanketing this entire area. It looks like Serral might lose this game.
Yeah, it really does. He's losing so much, but the counterattack is still going on. The third base of Stats under fire, but GG is called, and Stats takes yet another game.
He is one step closer to turning this entire thing around. Each game we're seeing Stats get better and better at countering what Serral's doing. I'm getting worried, Artosis. I think if Serral is going to win this, he might need to shift gears. He might need to come with a different strategy.